Hi, I'm Larry Richardson, your step-by-step chef. And in this episode, this exciting episode of Cooking with Plant-Based Meat, we are going to make one of my all-time, and I mean since I was a little kid, favorite sandwiches. It's a meatball sandwich using plant-based meatballs. I mean, it just comes out to perfection. And I had to try a number of different plant-based meatballs before I arrived at the one that I really enjoy in this sandwich. So you have to watch this episode to find out which one. Now, why are we doing this? We're doing it, 1, because it's delicious, 2, because it makes us feel healthier, and 3, because we want to save the planet, because that's the way we are. We know by this point in this series, and I have several plant-based videos, we know by this point that eating plant-based meat over animal-based meat, it makes a lot less greenhouse gases that cause global warming. So we're actually saving the planet by making our sandwiches this way. Now, I also have a recipe on Step by Step Chef for animal-based meatballs, but we are trying to substitute plant-based meat as much as possible in our diet over animal-based meat because we're superheroes. So come on, let's cook. And here are the ingredients for our plant-based meatball subs. Now again, I do have animal-based Italian dishes on stepbystepchef.com. You're more than welcome to check those out, but that's not in this series. So we're going to use 6 of these meatballs. Now I did taste a number of different meatballs to arrive at this one, and this is a great plant-based meatball for this dish. Now surprisingly, I use a different meatball in my plant-based meatball in my spaghetti meatball dish. It's a matter of texture and seasoning, but these are real standouts. So we'll use about 6 of those meatballs in 2 subs. I have a large can of tomato sauce. I'm going to mince about a 1/4 cup of this onion, and we're going to use about 2 garlic cloves crushed and 1 teaspoon in the sauce that we're going to make. So that will be the meatball sauce right there. And we're going to saute the onions and the garlic in a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil before we add them to the sauce. So it's that simple. Now we're talking about toppings. We will dice 1/3 cup of tomato, more to taste if you want more. We are going to dice 1/3 cup of red onion. Now you can also use the sweet onion or whatever onion you want in it. I just like the variety of flavors. We are also going to use pickles. Now that's one of the things that I liked when I was a kid. I loved putting pickles on my meatball subs, and people would look at me like I was weird. So if you want to be weird with me, add some hamburger dill chips to those. The other thing we can top it with is some Parmesan cheese. And then I have 2 sub rolls. Those are whole wheat sub rolls, which are the healthy ones, but they taste good. So that's pretty much it. Let me show you how to put all this together. Okay, so the prep work for this is pretty simple. We are just going to cut and peel this onion. And again, we're just going to mince the onion. I want the onion to give the sauce some flavor. I don't like when I get sauce that doesn't have any distinct flavor to it. So this onion will add to it. And we're just going to score the top. Make the lines really close and go only as deep as you think you'll need to go to make 1/3 cup of onion. So I'm putting these lines very close together. And then I just go the other way, and I make these little squares on the top. And when the lines are close together, that will mince out nicely. Okay, so you can see those little squares, and then we just cut down the face of the onion until we have our 1/3 cup. That'll do it. And I'm going to put this right in the pan that we're going to use to heat up the sauce. It's just easier because we're going to just saute these onions a little bit with the garlic, and then we'll pour the sauce into it, and we'll add the meatballs. And while those heat up, we will sit and long for our meatball sub. Now I have a garlic crusher. If you don't, mince your garlic and add as much as you like. I told you that we would use 2 cloves of garlic, but these are kind of small cloves and I like garlic. You can also use garlic powder if you want, and you can use onion powder. Just be a little bit judicious with them and taste the sauce. You don't want to add too much. So here is our crusher. You just put it in like this. I'm just going to crush this right in here. There we go. And you can see it has the garlic flesh come out. And you get rid of the skin. And again, mince it really finely. We don't want big pieces of garlic in our meatball sub. We just want this flavor. Now, if you don't like garlic, leave it out. The binge watchers of Step by Step Chef. Wow, that'd make a really cool PBS series. I'll have to propose it. Anyways, the binge watchers of Step by Step Chef know that I love my garlic. It shows up in everything but my French toast. I couldn't get away with that one. Everyone in the house rebelled at the first bite. But otherwise, you are going to find some garlic. But I also tell you, if you don't like garlic in any recipe, well, I guess except the garlic toast, you can leave the garlic out. Because if you do the garlic toast recipe without garlic, it's just toast. Wow, I'm really on today. And these are, like I said, these are really small cloves of garlic. So I'm just adding a bunch of them. Wow, I love that aroma. Okay, so I will meet you over at the stove. And here we are at the stove. I put the stove on just under medium heat, adding the olive oil. And let's give this a little stir. Make sure that the olive oil is well worked in with these ingredients. Okay, so we are going to saute the onion and garlic. It'll probably take 5 to 7 minutes. And let's add the Italian seasonings too so they get worked in to these ingredients. There we go. Wow, it already smells like a meatball sub. Just kidding. So I'll be back when this is rocking and rolling. Okay, so these onions have been sauteing for 5 minutes and they're looking very translucent. So that means I can just add the sauce. And then we'll just add the meatballs. Because according to the package that I have, the meatballs can cook in the sauce. They just simmer for 20 minutes and they're done. So I'm just adding the meatballs and counting off 20 minutes. So once this comes to a simmer, which shouldn't take too long, then I'll know that that's when I'll start that 20-minute timer. And I'm starting from frozen with these meatballs. That's what it says on the package. So prepare it according to the package of the meatballs that you got. Oh, I can't wait to eat this. Now, when I make sauces with, spaghetti sauces with animal-based proteins, animal-based meat, and when I make it with the plant-based meat for meatballs and bolognese, I do make a heartier sauce. But I like a thinner sauce for the meatballs, and also the chicken parmesan, the plant-based chicken parmesan that I make also has a thinner sauce. So what we'll do is we'll cover this, and once it gets simmering, start your 20 minutes or so, turn it up if it's not doing anything, turn it down if it starts boiling. You just want a slow simmer. You don't want to scorch this, and stir it every now and then too. And now we'll just go prepare the toppings. And the prep work for our meatball sub is really quite simple. I rinsed off this tomato, and we're just going to dice it. I'm going to dice enough tomato for 2 subs. I'm probably going to eat them myself. Don't tell anyone. Like, I don't want anyone to know that I just ate 2 meatball subs. Because they're going to be mad at me. They're going to be like, well, why didn't you save us one? I told you it's my favorite food from when I was a kid. I absolutely adored meatball subs. I lived for them. I don't know if that's normal, but wow, did I love a good meatball sub. So I'm just cutting it like this. You saw I cut lines this way, and then I cut lines this way. So I made these little squares, and then I just cut down the face. That'll give us some nice diced tomato for our subs. And you can use sliced tomato if that's what you're used to. I just always like it diced up. That way it doesn't fall out of the sub, which is a tragedy in my book. And I have tomato for another sandwich. And the red onion, we're just going to peel some. And again, you can use some sweet onion, yellow onion, white onion, you name it, your favorite onion, as the topping. But I do like red onion on these. It really stands up well. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Just make some diced onion. So I'm cutting the lines in the top. Going this way first. Straight this way. And only go as deep as you think you're going to need that amount of onion. That way you can use the onion in other recipes. Not wasting food is another way to cut down on our use of fossil fuels. If we ate more of our food, we would really be in better shape. Okay, so I did that, cut those little squares, and then I'm just going to cut down the face. There we go, some nice diced onion. And then, of course, I don't have to do anything to the pickles. They're pickles. I don't want to do anything to pickles. So I'm just moving that aside. The other thing I like to do is, sub rolls tend to be very bready. So what I like to do is take out some of the bread from the middle, especially if I'm making these meatball subs, because you need room for the meatballs. If you open this up and you try to put meatballs in it without removing some of the bread, oops, I kind of ripped that one. Okay, it's not going to be quite as artistic, but if you don't remove some of this bread, you will have no room for the meatballs and the other fillings. So you're just going to have to do this. And you can eat this bread separately. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with it. Maybe you have if you have birds, maybe you have ducks in your yard. Actually, I think someone said that giving ducks bread is not a good idea. I just can't keep up sometimes. But anyway, so I'm hollowing out the meatball sub to make room for the meatballs, sauce, and filling. Now, I have to look out for this because this is a penalty. And there's a chance that when I go to bite down on the sub, this is going to open up and I'm going to end up with a meatball in my lap. So I have to remember that. I've never done this before. This is really a fail. I might just grab another sub roll and use this one for like a safe turkey sub or chicken sub or something, just so I don't end up with hot meatball in my lap, which would be a tragedy. So you can see I just kind of hollowed it out and made room for the meatball and the fillings. So now we're just waiting another 15 minutes for the meatballs to be ready, and then I'll show you how to put this sandwich together. Okay, here we go. The meatballs have simmered for 20 minutes. Now, one of the secrets is, if the meatballs are too big, cut them in half. If you want, you can just cut them in half and put them in your sub roll, and that will be plenty of meatball. I like it a little bit on the saucy side, so I'm going to add a little bit more sauce. Doesn't that look delicious already? And those are plant-based meatballs. And next we'll just add some of our onions, sprinkling of onions, and you can add any toppings you want. I've seen people just eat it with the meatballs straight with a little bit of cheese on it. That's fine. I like mine a little veggie rich. I do that with most of my dishes. And then we'll add some of the tomato. Wow, I love this mix. And add some more vegetables into our diet, which is good for us too. And then I like the pickles. This might be my trademark. And if you don't like pickles, do not add these. This is a warning. But oh, do I love it this way. This is where it comes in, where you have your sandwiches your way. Don't worry about anyone else. What do you like? That's the question you should always ask when you're cooking. And then I'll put some of the cheese on it. There's a little grated cheese to flavor. Doesn't that look delicious? So congratulations. Look at what you just made. You just made this absolutely delicious plant-based meatball sub. Now the technology in making plant-based meats has come a long ways since the first time I tried them. Back in the 90s and even in the early 2000s, I couldn't eat them, but they're really coming around and they're introducing a lot of different varieties. So try a bunch of different meatballs till you find the ones you like. Now, if you like this recipe, please go to my website, stepbystepchef.com. There you will find a printable version of this recipe and printable versions for over 225 other recipes. Some are plant-based, some are animal-based, some are absolutely neither. So you're going to get a wide variety of breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. I think you're really going to like the site. Plus, if that's not enough, you're going to get a bonus because every single recipe comes with a free video link where I show you how to make these different dishes. So we just hang out and we make meatball subs and we just keep eating until we can eat no more. Doesn't that sound fun? It does for me. So I am Larry Richardson. I am your step-by-step chef, and I'll see you in the next episode.